Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, come on in again. It's time for the Professor of Perseverance podcast. And this show couldn't go on if it wasn't for you as listeners. And I want to thank each and every one of you. Hey, we know we always discuss, we talk with people who come adversities. We get tips, helpful hints, encouragement to provide hope for the people that are needing it, which is all of us, right? We're all going through something. Somewhere along the line, we're going to go through it again or something different. And so we can use this stuff, this information to help us propel forward in life and live a successful, thriving life. Hey, today our guest, she says that everyone needs to go through their day feeling clear and fulfilled. She has developed a psychological and education model that supports minimizing depression. We need that, anxiety, and it's going to raise your self-esteem and self-confidence. And so here we go. Let's get started. Welcome to the show, Dr. Foojan Zeine.
Hello, nice to be with you. Thank you for the invitation, and hello to everyone who is listening to the podcast.
And we couldn't do this without you. So, because I would get tired of listening to my own voice if I didn't have to. So, all right, Doc, hey, thank you for coming in and taking your valuable time to share with us some valuable information that can help us, again, get past this depression, anxiety, but on top of it, raise our self-awareness, our self-esteem, self-confidence, and appreciate you coming in and, again, sharing your valuable time and information with us.
Thank you, James. It's great to be with you. And obviously, you know, as well as many other people who are listening to us, that the rate of depression and anxiety is going sky high, especially after COVID. And we're kind of, I can't even say after COVID, during COVID. And as we keep going along.
As we're still traveling through, yes.
Yes. So not only that, for many years, we could see that the depressions either stays or has risen, but the COVID really did a number for all of us on both depression and anxiety. One of the things that I've done for the past 30 years as a psychotherapist is really work through what is it that creates our psychological depression. Obviously, there are also chemical ways for the depression or anxiety that people might need to have medical management. But mostly I'm talking about the psychological aspects and what we could do from the skill building, how is it that we're thinking that creates those type of emotions? What are some of the behaviors that we do that keeps us constantly into this state of depression and anxiety? And as we become more aware of the distinctions between our thoughts, emotions, feelings, and behavior, and then how does that impact our life in any type of relationship, and how do we impact everybody else's kind of lives as we're going on? Because we're also kind of like, responsible and accountable to who we are, what we do in our life, and what we do in our lives with our children and our mates and, work, anybody who's out there. And, even with the issue of COVID, we see more and more how we feel responsible and accountable toward each other, in a sense, because now this is something that showed up that, I have to actually take care of myself in order to be able to take care of you as another citizen. So that's how, this concept of it worked out, where I listened and learned a lot of the theories from the cognitive theories, from emotional theories, body, mind, and trauma, and brought them kind of together and saw what was the best that worked with each one of them and brought them together into this model, which gives us these skills of being aware of who we are today, our dualities, thought processes that show up and from different parts, and each one of them have different needs. And then the false beliefs we have, the fantasy beliefs we hold on to, the wishful thinking, magical thinkings that we hold on to. And so sometimes all of those kind of makes us more miserable versus creating a fulfillment in our life. So noticing those, noticing which emotions I am so used to, and I can say I'm addicted to, that even if there's nothing going on right now that would promote those feelings, but I kind of go and bring them up again and feel them again. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, James. Have you ever noticed like there's nothing going on right now in front of you, but we go back and pick up this conversation we had yesterday with somebody that I got pissed at, and I'll bring it back into the present moment and go through the whole conversation and get myself all angried up again and pissed off again and answer to people. So it's almost like you could see sometimes that there are the kind of emotions that there's no need for it, but we go producing it again. Or some sort of anxiety, which all is well, then suddenly I go back into my mind and go, but what if this happens and then the world collapses? So then there's not reality is not that at this moment, but I in my own world produce a film, which a horror film, which I can scare the crap out of myself at that moment, right? So being aware of those thought process, being aware of these emotions that we're used to and keep creating, and being aware of our actions, which are out there creating relationships, creating conflicts, creating resolutions, creating and manifesting things we want. And are my behaviors towards self-destruction and harming myself and others, or are my behavior sabotaging all the stuff, the greatness that I have, or is my behavior healthy, promoting, creating, moving forward? And then how does this type of thought process and emotion and behavior and action my overall life and impact the life of other people who are around me and that I'm committed to, or that we kind of like co-create life together? So that would be the first part of really focusing on our life and in different areas of life. Like you could do this in our work, our finances, our intimate relationship with siblings, with our parents, with people at large that are out there, with our own body, with our own illnesses, addictions, any of those. We could kind of start becoming aware. Sometimes, James, we have skills and we're amazing in one area of our life, and then we don't transfer those skills to the other area. And we don't have skills in another. So it's, as you become aware of your thought, emotion, actions, and impact, you still looking at, well, where is it that I am successful in life? How come I'm successful here? How can I take my success and things that work in here and kind of like bridge it to another area of my life that I'm not that successful? And then in the midst of this, obviously our past, broken promises, unfinished businesses, traumas that have happened are going to keep creeping in. They're going to keep putting their effect because they want us to handle them.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask is how many people, I say a lot of people, that they want to just continue living in the past instead of letting stuff go and moving forward. And they're holding themselves back much more than life is, because they're going, 40 years ago, I got a daggum DUI. Now I can't. 40 years ago, I don't care if it happened 40 minutes ago. Move on. Do the best you can. You learn from it and go.
Absolutely, you're right. And sometimes we're stuck someplace because there's a component in that we made it mean something about ourselves or the world, as if like something happened to me and I felt powerless at that moment. And then I make it mean that I'm either bad and I'll never be good and I never have a luck, or, the world is bad. No matter what I do, it's never gonna, give me what I want. So you'll see an episode happens. I take my experience and then generalize it and then stamp it either on my forehead or the world. And then I operate from this type of belief system, which is not accurate. And then I get stuck in it. There's something I wanted from my father, from my mother, from my sibling, from my teacher, and that wasn't given to me. And then I'm stuck in that position where after that, I might have a lot of that from other people. But no. Because I wanted it from that particular person and didn't get it, then I made it mean I'm not lovable. Then I made it mean I'm not good enough. So it's going back to those spaces and really like dismantling that belief system that, yeah, this was one episode, something happened, and connecting that part of you to who you are today, which has much more skills than when you were a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever it was. And then bringing those, resilience, these strengths, the skills that you have today, and combining them with that part of you that got stuck there. But we have to handle those in the process that we go through. There is a phase 4, that we actually go and handle the traumas, handle unfinished businesses, which we got stuck, and reintegrate. And that's why I call the theory awareness integration. So we create an awareness, and then we bring the integration of all the parts that were left somewhere, and bring it in and integrate it so that we are a whole system. And then we start looking at, who do I intend to be? Like, I can live on automatic self that I'm always, and then I'm also can have a co-creation. I can be an intentional human being. I can say, this is who I intend to be. These are the thought processes that I like to think about. These are the emotions that I like to have. Now, James, we don't have control over the automatic thoughts or automatic emotions that come, but we certainly have control over which one we spend time in, which one we keep going at it. If you meditate, you'll see all these weird thoughts and emotions show up, but then there's only one of them that at any time I can pay attention to, and I can select out of all the stuff that just showed up, which one I want to select to put my time and effort and energy on. So then I will have an intention, right? I say, I intend to have, benefiting thoughts, kind forming thoughts, the things that are promoting. I choose not to kind of go into destructive thoughts, and then I can assess which ones to me are destructive and which ones are promoting and they're healthy for me. If I sense that all these emotions show up for me, such as anger and anxiety and sadness, I can hear what the message is and then choose to let go, release that emotion, and then choose to come back and have other types of emotions, just calmness, content, enjoyment, happiness, any of those. I could choose to live in those. If I need to choose like music or a beautiful scenery to help me, that's fine. I can get stimulus from outside to help me with those emotions. And then what type of behaviors I'm willing to do and I'm not willing to do. Like, I can choose, no, I'm not going to do any behaviors that harms people. I'm not going to say words that I know that harms people intentionally. I might say something that unintentionally harms someone, but if I know that I don't want to do that, if somebody says, "Oh, that hurt," then I would say, I totally apologize, because that's not what I intended to do. I can choose behaviors that are, promoting my health, other people's health, and all of that. So that way I can also become intentional and move toward my intention in every area of my life, in every relationship, get intentional. What is it I want to create in these relationships? Not only what I want to create in my career and havings, material havings, but what do I want to create in this next hour? Like, I'm going to be with James. What do I want to create with James? What is my intention to create out of this hour? If I'm going to be with my mate, my husband or wife, we have 2 hours together because we're at work, we got to do with kids and all of that. Can I spend 1 hour with my mate every night and be intentional that I want to see you, I want to hear you, I want to connect heart to heart, I want to touch, I want to kiss you, I want to tell you that I love you. So 1 hour per day, I want this to be just us. So you could be intentional about that and then create that space for us. And you could do this in every single area of your life. So you could see, James, that we could be present moment, aware, like a camera on ourselves, inside and out,
Mhm.
clean up the past, and completely bring it, like, be it, and then we can always, when it shows up again, oh, there's you here, come on along, I love you, come over, let's be together. And then intentional about the future, and kind of vision what you want, and then come back to the present moment and align your intention, thought, emotion, and action into getting what it is that you said you wanted to have. And at any point that it doesn't match, then come back and look which one of these wasn't working to get what you want.
He keeps going into the series. Al Bundy, I scored 4 touchdowns in one game. It's always reverting back to that one game, 4 touchdowns. And here he is, married, shoe salesman, but everything goes back to I scored 4 touchdowns in one game. So, I see too many people there. And there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with going and looking back, because one, you can see how far you've come in life and what you were able to get through and beat in life. But it's the old, as a friend of mine, Jan, was saying, her dad would say, to move back in there and stay is wrong. Just go in there, visit for a day or two, and then move them back out into reality.
It's not real, like you said. It's just that you could constantly look at a video, but videos of the past does not constitute your living situation today. Is as if you tell me I live in a theater that I keep looking at either the past videos, or I look at sci-fi about the future. Yeah, but at one point you got to get out of the theater and live among people in every moment. So in your head, if this is what you're doing, that you're either living in the past or living in a way of a future that doesn't exist, and you're constantly scaring yourself. These two, this one, the negative of the past, or even if you're looking at the positive of the past and you're stuck there, that means from that moment, you don't feel positive going forward because you're stuck on one thing that is positive in the past, or all the negative in the past creates depression. When you're constantly making yourself afraid of the future, that creates anxiety. And part of the reason that the research we've done consistently with people with therapy, with people we did a research with 300 students in Cal State Long Beach. And the students are one of have the highest level of depression and anxiety in the whole world, not just United States, in the whole world. And what we did was actually what was in this book, The Life Reset. We took the exercises and just gave it. There were 4 classes, 2 professors. We just gave it to the professors to assign it to the students. Every week they assigned, and they worked on one area of their life, like area of intimate relationship, their school and career, their relationship with their family and parents, their relationship with their body, and their relationship with like finances. So we selected some aspects, and without any therapist or a coach, just by going through the exercises and journaling, we found that they had minimized their depression 64% and anxiety 43%. When we've done this in the actual therapy setting, we've seen 75% minimization of depression and 63% minimization of anxiety. And so those are astonishing results that we've created. And by next fall, the fall of 2022, we're actually going to have a course, Mental Health, in Cal State Long Beach, which is going to also teach awareness integration. And we're also teaching this in some of the graduate schools at this point for the therapists. So, and we also brought it into the educational world, where already we have one daycare that is childcare that is using this for 6 years, and research that is coming out of that is astonishing, James, because we're having kids as young as 2-year-old, which is really hard, but for them to actually regulate their emotion. I'm serious, like a 2-year-old who's supposed to be only having tantrums, right?
That's right.
What we know. The 2-year-old goes in and, finds that we created a space for them in the daycare where they go. It's like a safe place. When they get really agitated, they kind of like walk themselves there and says, I need to be with myself. And they'll go to see where the emotion is, and they look at it, they name it, and then they breathe through it. And then it's like, okay, what do I want now? And, I'm going to go play now. And you can watch this child from age 2 having the skills of emotional regulation. And that's something that was never taught to us. So we're bringing this also as in early development, putting it into school, and we're teaching the teachers. We're teaching now to the teachers so they can take it into the school system. So I think that the more we can bring the skills of awareness into a system of learning, teaching, parenting, that people who are raising children learn that they could do it on themselves, for themselves, and then self-awareness, groups, exercises, courses, and people who need more to be able to go to therapy. And we're training therapists so they can actually go into the therapy also to learn. And, people who have had traumas, which they really can't do this on their own. They have to be with another person to walk them through this path. So we're trying to have this available for everybody.
I find it fascinating with the 2-year-old, one, to be able to comprehend what they're doing at 2. But I also found fascinating, but I don't find wrong or well, whatever. But when you said that the college students are the ones the most anxiety and depressed or what and all, and I can understand that, because I'm not me personally understanding, but I'm saying I can understand, because it seems like one big thing that a lot of these young people are missing out somewhere is like a conflict resolution. They think that you've got to battle everything out there and take it on and by yourself. And then, they get beat down by other people, especially on this internet stuff nowadays. And they can get fake accounts and bully anybody they want. And I can see this younger group that are so beat down in life with everything going on that they don't understand what to do. They're living out of, I hate to say fear, but living out of what do I do next?
Yes. I mean, they're coming out of childhood, they're entering adulthood, and all the rules changed. These past 10 to 20 years, I guess I could tell you the past 10 years, rules changed. I'm 60. I kind of, in my time, you kind of knew these are the things you got to do in order to succeed. This is the path you go to succeed. And there is none of that. You can become famous in 15 minutes. You can become an influencer. You can become whatever you want at any time. And then yet there are paths to take. There are skills you have to do. They go to school. They come up with hundreds of $1,000s of loans without, still getting paid minimum wage and still not knowing what career they want to take. It is such a huge and vast world out there for them as they go from childhood to adulthood, that if by any chance they had any type of not nurturing or not a healthy parent or growing up in that way, it becomes very, very confusing. And then there's the competition is getting higher every day also. So they don't have the skills at all. They don't have skills for managing their emotion, managing their finances. They don't learn that they don't have life skills. And then suddenly they have to be out there in life. So you could see why their depression and anxiety is at its highest. We still have the highest level of suicide in that range. So yeah, to me, it's one of the groups that I really hope that we could support and help. And hoping that we could bring this in the educational system overall, where we could bring mental health into every single school and bring it in a way that they have skills, and not look at mental health only from a mentally ill conversation, but mental health in a way that the person has agency, has independent thinking and feeling. They can monitor exactly how their thought and emotions turns into their action, and how those actions turns to a result that they are also responsible for. And how can they have the confidence with this awareness to change, have the ability to assess and change their thought process and emotion and action in order to create the results and impact they have. To me, that's the bottom line of emotional and mental health for kids to have, for all of us to actually have. But to bring it from both sides, whomever, with our age, let's say age 25 and up, to look at what's going on, learn it, and clean up their past from a childhood, for them to clean up so they don't have a stuckness in the past, because they're learning how to clean up as they go. So they don't have all these closets worth of skeletons waiting, for us to become 30 and then go clean up.
And that's another topic in itself, when how many people, especially on the internet, that you've seen somebody's done something and they're bringing up 30 years ago what someone said, and it's ruining their career basically, because everything's on this internet. And instead of, so that's a different topic in itself. But other thing with the, I was going to say, I can see with these younger students, whether you want to say college students or whatever, they've had to grow up pretty fast because of this technology. Whether they intentionally found something bad or unintentionally was introduced to them, they didn't grow up properly because they don't seek mom and dad's advice, because if they're intentionally doing it, they're hiding it. And if they're unintentionally, they're ashamed that they was sin, and they don't want mom and dad to think bad of them. So now they're having to try to grow up without the correct examples and forethought.
One of the things that I've noticed, James, and I don't know if you've always looked at this from this angle or not, is that I love cartoons and I love movies, animated movies. So I watch a lot of those. One of the themes that is constant, if you start looking at Pixar, Disney, any of those, it is, and it has been for a long time, is that usually the figure in the movie is a child who's supposed to defy the parents. It will ridicule the parents and defy the parents, and will go in the world, and the world will be nasty, but it will be kind, and they'll go through all these obstacles, and there will always somebody, will come in and throw obstacles and will be damaging, and there's always somebody who will come in and get them, support them, and teach them, and hold them, and move forward. And then at the end, they come back to the parent, wherever they are, and say, see, I shouldn't have listened to you. See where I went? And if I listened to you, you would be holding me back. And look what I did. I went and conquered the world and came back. And although there's a lot of positive messages in there, the only part that I wished it wasn't is this concept of having to rebel always against the parent and come back and show that, like, the parents were the stupid ones and you're just supposed to jump in the world. That doesn't work that all the time. When, yes, there are times when you jump in the world and you do it and you have to do it, and you survive the world and you move forward and you find a lot of coping mechanisms. But a lot of people also just don't rely on their family, and then they jump in the world and they clash and they go into drugs and they go into self-destructive. And I understand if the family is toxic and is not, the relationships are not that great and they're not supportive, sometimes you've got to save yourself from it. But I don't think it's always that. But what you just said to me, I remember almost every movie that's almost the message to the kids.
Yeah, and it's sad when a good cartoon can go that way. Yeah, I'm young enough. My brother and I say old enough, not young enough. I'm not quite I'm 57, but I remember this time of the year on Friday night when they're getting ready to Saturdays having brand new cartoons. And we used to go shopping with mom and dad, and I would hope to get home in time so I can see the previews Friday night, so I can see what to get up and watch on Saturday morning. And so, yeah, I remember those good old days. Now get out of the past, James, and let's get forward. So, all right, Doc, I appreciate you being here. I know you got clients you got to get to in a minute. Go ahead and promote your books, social media, any workshops, and go ahead and tell people how they can get a hold of you. And I'll go ahead. I'll be putting this stuff in the show notes as well. But go ahead for the ones that are listening.
Beautiful. Yes, you can definitely go to Foojan.com, Foojan.com, and all will be there. Or the latest book, especially for public, for it's Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want. You can get that in Foojan.com or Amazon. And this is an exercise. This is a self-help book. People can just go in through the exercise the same way we did it in Cal State Long Beach, and it really has a lot of amazing effect. If you're a therapist or a coach, there's also the book Awareness Integration Therapy, which teaches the professionals in how to do that and how to do it for their students or their or their clients. And I'm on all of the social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I love to hear from everybody. I also have a show at ABC, KMET 1490 ABC, which is also on podcast, Inner Voice with Dr. Foojan. Yeah, I'd love to hear from people. And especially if people have read the book or have done the exercises, to really hear about how it affected them.
Yes, that's. We don't need to know that, but it does feel great when you realize that it really did do something to help someone. So, yes. Dr. Foojan, thank you for being here. Again, I'll put those links in the show notes as well. And last thing I want to ask you here, we know that people are hurting and struggling. If you can leave us with a positive message, that'd be awesome and a blessing to all of us.
We all deserve to have a fulfilled life. We all deserve to feel happy and content and even feel bliss. We all deserve it. And there is a capability to do that. And although a lot of things might happen, traumas might happen, but suffering around it is optional. Letting go and coming to terms, healing ourselves and moving forward is our responsibility. And I hope that everyone who's listening takes on that responsibility for themselves and for their next generation to take care of yourself physically and mentally, because you deserve to live in a healthy environment that you create.
Thank you. And I love the part where you said the suffering part is optional. I mean, what we go through is going to be suffering enough, but for us to beat ourselves up and continue reliving it is optional. So, Dr. Foojan, thank you for coming in. Hey, everyone else that's coming on the replay, be sure to share this out to someone you know that needs some help, because we all know somebody needs some help. Okay, they don't have to be going through anxiety and depression. It could be something, I don't know, even a cancer survivor can use some of this information. I'm a spinal cord injury could use this information. So share this out to someone you know that can use some hope and some tips to get through everything. So, hey, I'm Dr. James Perdue, the professor of perseverance himself. Thank you for coming in. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.